everybody, to all the new people in Brazil that are probably here because of Reddit. Welcome for the first time. This is the Barbecue Pit. We will be predicting UFC São Paulo this weekend, which has Shogun as the co-main event. Big ups to Shogun. Junior Santos was supposed to fight last week. I don't know why they wouldn't just save him to this week. Although he would have got hurt anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. But Dos Santos headline and Shogun co-headline been sick in Brazil. Would have got mad love. But it is what it is now. It's a done deal. Let me see. Yeah, got the sound. Sound is good. Let's jump into it. I'm watching Thursday Night Football along with giving you guys the preview of the card. I did not do one of the – let me check which fight it is right now. I did not preview the main card fights. That is the Antonio Araro and Andre Muniz fight. The reason I didn't is because I like the Bobby Green-Francisco Trinaldo matchup. So I just went ahead and did that prelim fight. I previewed that one instead of the Araro fight. So sucks. You got to get over it. You got to excuse me if I ever – stop paying attention because I got Vance McDonald on my fantasy team, so I want to see him grab a touchdown or two right now. I need that, as a matter of fact. First fight we're going to jump into is Marcus Perez going up against Wellington Turman. Perez is 11-2, 2-2 in the UFC. 8 out of 11 of his wins are via finish. He's never been submitted. Excuse me. He's never been – I'm sorry. He has 5 submissions out of those 8 finishes, 3 knockouts. He has been finished. Yes, he has never been finished. I was correct about that. He holds wins over Anthony Hernandez, James Bosniak, and Ian Heinisch. Ian Heinisch was before his UFC days, before he went on that amazing run that's making him who he is today. Thurman is 15-3, 0-1 in the UFC. He lost his debut by split decision against Carl Robinson, who I believe on this past card in Moscow got a win over Magomedov, I think. Wasn't it? No, it wasn't Magomedov. Somebody. I forget who it is. But Carl Robinson just got a win this past weekend. He's 11 out of 15 of Thurman's wins are via finish, 7 submissions, 4 knockouts. He's never been finished. Also, as well as Perez. Sorry, Perez is more seasoned. He's been in the UFC for longer. He knows, the ins and outs, how to win over a decision for the judges. And I think that more than likely, because I know Perez has got a great chin, as long as Turman doesn't get knocked out, I think this fight's going to a decision, without a doubt. So I'm going to call it Perez by decision. That one's up in the air. It was hard for me to pick that fight, and it's going to be hard for me to pick the main event too. Jacare Souza versus Han Blachowicz. That's a really hard fight for me to choose. Sorry about the damn hood up, all that shit. It's pretty cold around here. It's pretty cold, dude. Getting to the December area. It's winter, man. It's really, really winter around here. It's 20-something degrees probably. Trinaldo versus Green. Bobby Green's 24-9. He hasn't fought since losing a decision to Carl Close back in December 2018. Has losses to big names. All his losses are to big names. Edson Barbosa, Dustin Poirier, Rashid Magomedov, and Dakar Close. He's got wins over Josh Thompson, who was infamous as being the only guy to finish Nate Diaz via TKO, I guess, until Jorge Masvidal, which Masvidal, I wouldn't even consider that a TKO, even though it will be considered that because of doctor stoppage is a TKO, but I would not, Nate wasn't finished. He wasn't, at no point was he unconscious. At no point was he about to tell them, hey, I don't want to fight anymore. There's not really any point in the fight where Masvidal stopped Diaz. The only reason that they consider him being stopped is because the doctor stopped it. So, a little weird. rules that you come across there. But Green has actually finished Josh Thompson. So finished the guy that actually clean. He caught Nate Diaz with a kick. And although it didn't knock Nate Diaz's light straight out, Josh Thompson ended up getting that when he came, followed up with a bunch of punches, and was able to finish Diaz that night. So Green's got a win over him, Pat Healy, James Krause, Darren Cruikshank and Cruikshank's run with the UFC. So Bobby Green's got a lot of notable wins as well. Only losing to top tier lightweights, which I think Krause is 35, so that's weird. It's a weird jump. Maybe Krause is 55, I don't know. Trinaldo's 23-7, so very similar records. Never been knocked out, has key losses to Alex Hernandez, James Vick, Kevin Lee, and Michael Chiesa. Key wins over Jesse Rosen, who's in PFL right now, Leonardo Silva, Norman Park, Yancy Medeiros, and I think I also noted Paul Fellner, Jim Miller, and Evan Dunham, I think was his most recent win for Trinaldo. He's an older guy. He's starting to turn back the clock here. I think Bobby Green makes really good on his return. Almost a year off, a little less than a year off here for Bobby Green. And I think he comes back similar to the way Nate Diaz came back against Anthony Pettis. You know, it's always iffy to see, is this guy going to be the same guy? Is he going to be a different guy when he comes back? And knowing that he fought a lot steeper competition than Trinaldo has fought and beat those guys, the top guys that Trinaldo has fought is what? Kevin Lee, James Vick, Alexander Hernandez, maybe Michael Chiesa, you know, where Green has fought guys like Barboza, Poirier, Cruikshank, Josh Thompson. You know, he's been up there. He's been up there with the best of the best. What the fuck? Getting comments on my Reddit here. I can't respond to this dude for a whole minute. That's why I can't stand Reddit, man. They don't let you reply, but every 10 minutes. It's stupid. But yeah, got Bobby Green. I'm going to say, if I have to call it, I'm going to say Bobby Green by a decision. Probably unanimous. I don't think it's going to be that close of a fight, but I do have Bobby Green. Which brings us to Charles Oliveira and Jared Gordon. I'll be right straightforward with everybody, just telling you that I'm going to be biased as shit in this pick. Jared Gordon's my man. He's a real cool guy. He's got a great backstory. He's just a nice guy. You know, he's cool. He interacts with people. Fumbled the fucking hold. Missed the kick. Charles Oliveira is on a 5-fight winning streak, though, you know. 27-8-1, 18 out of 27 his wins are via submission. 5-fight winning streak that includes Nick Lentz by TKO, David Tamar by submission, Jim Miller by decision, Christy Giajos by decision, Clay Guida. I've been saying decision. Submission for Jim Miller, submission for Giajos, submission against Clay Guida, and then his last loss was back in December 2017 to Paul Fellner, so almost 2 years ago to Paul Fellner. He's been finished in 7 out of 8 of his losses, so he only made a decision in a loss one time. I do give props to Jared Gordon's finishing abilities. He is 15-3, 6 out of 15 of his wins are via knockout or TKO. All 3 of his losses are by TKO or knockout. So he's never been submitted. He's never went to a decision for a loss. His last fight was a decision win over Dan Morat, who is now not in the UFC. I just believe I've seen him fighting on a card, maybe in like South Africa or some shit. That was back in June. He also has wins over Hakron Diaz and Bill Aljo. He's never, like I said earlier, he's never been submitted. That's the key going up against a guy like Charles Oliveira, who has, 18 wins by submission. And he'll be fighting a guy who's never been submitted. Hopefully he could stay off of the ground, keep himself up, land some good punches up top, and be able to put him away. And, you know, I say hopefully, but that's what I'm going to make my pick as. I told you guys I was going to be biased, and that's the way I could see him getting it done. So that's the way I'm going to speak it into existence. It's going to happen. I think Jared Gordon by, let's call it second round TKO is what I'm going to say. let's see. Then we go to the co-main, which is Shogun. Shogun versus Paul Craig, another submission artist versus stand-up power striker. The submission artist being Paul Craig, the stand-up striker being Shogun. This is Shogun's return, his first fight since December 2018, same as Bobby Green. Back in 2018, in that last fight that he had, it was a TKO win over Tyson Pedro, who is pretty close to the top of the division. I think he's like 10-11 or something like that. So it's a pretty big name for him to beat in his last fight, old aging Shogun. He's got 21 out of 26 of his wins are via knockout or TKO. He's got key wins over John Vellante, Corey Anderson, who's probably number 2 in light heavyweight, Forrest Griffin, Leo Machida, Chuck Liddell, Mark Coleman, Alistair Overeem twice, Kevin Randleman, of course, he's a Pride vet. He fought in Pride with all those guys, Randleman, Coleman, Liddell, all those guys he fought while he was in Pride. Oh, no, I think was it Liddell fight in UFC? I can't remember. But he is a Pride veteran. He's one of those guys that came over from Pride to come to the UFC when the merger happened. That's how I classify a Pride veteran. While Craig is 12-4, so not nearly as much experience. 16 fights to 37 fights. So 12-4, 1 knockout, 11 submission wins, 100% finish rate as far as wins. He's got 3 knockout losses and 1 submission loss, so 100% finish rate in his losses. He never went to a decision before in his life. He's 4-4 in the UFC. TKO. He got TKO'd by Tyson Pedro. He lost to Khalil Roundtree, Alonzo Mayfield. He got TKO'd by Tyson Pedro, Khalil Roundtree, and Alonzo Mayfield. Then he got submitted by Jimmy Crute. Those were his 4 losses. Jimmy Crute, very, very, very skilled submission artist. So I can completely understand how he got submitted by Jimmy Crute, being both of those guys, great grapplers. I believe I seen. I was like Jimmy Crute's like 2nd or 3rd fight in the UFC, maybe, I believe. Knocked out by Alonzo Mayfield, power puncher. Khalil Roundtree, power puncher. And Tyson Pedro, who's actually really good on the ground. He's a really good grappler, submission guy, and he was able to knock out Paul Craig. So, Paul Craig's now going against such a power puncher and Mauricio Shogun Hua. I don't think he stands a chance, man. I think we're looking at maybe a first-round knockout. I'm not even saying TKO. I'm saying he's probably – if this guy got knocked out by Tyson Pedro, unless he filled some major holes in his game, he is probably going to get put to sleep by Shogun. It's just the way it is, man. He's got to fill those holes. If he doesn't fill those holes, it's Shogun's a far better striker than Tyson Pedro. He hits way harder than Tyson Pedro. I don't see how Craig gets it done unless he vastly improved in his striking sense. I guess not even striking defense. Because if he doesn't have that much striking offense and he could just defend strikes well and be able to get to the ground by doing that, then he should be all right. Shogun's not the most talented on the ground either, so Paul Craig should be all right if that's the case. But if that's not the case and he has to stay standing for maybe a whole 5 minutes, if he doesn't get a takedown in the first round, Shogun knocks him out in the second round. Easy. I think he maybe knocks him out in the first round while he's trying to get that takedown. Just really depends on how the first round goes, I think, to see how the rest of the fight goes. Trying to listen right now. Never mind. Which brings us to the main event. Han Blachowicz, how the fuck you want to say it, is going against Jacare Souza. Ronaldo Jacare Souza. The Alligator. Souza is making his 205 debut. He's 26-7-1, 9-4 in the UFC. 7 out of those 11 fights have been performance of the night bonuses, whether it's knockout, submission of the night, or fight of the night. He's got key wins over Chris Weidman, Derek Brunson, and Vitor Belfort. He's got 2 wins over Derek Brunson. Hold on for just a second, guys. I'm going to turn this up so you can hear this, and I'll be right back. Hold on.
Start looking at this right now, Joe, with third down, and just what exactly is the rookie Austin Cyber's range? You know, he's only his longest kick this year that he's made is 28 yards. And, that's the 30-yard line. Obviously, he has.
All right, I'm back. I'm back, kids. Trying to go back down on the thing so I don't get copyrighted by the NFL. If I got copyrighted by the UFC, I know the NFL would try to fuck with me. So, not trying to fuck around like that. Blachowicz versus Souza. Souza 26-7-1, 94. We already read all that. 2 wins over Brunson, Vitor Belfort, Gegard Mousasi, Yushin Okami, Robbie Lawler. 14 out of 26 his wins via submission. So, like we said, it's going to be that same thing. Grappler versus striker all night, I believe. Which I think Han Blachowicz is very, very, very skilled on the ground as well. So, a lot of people are like, if Jacare gets him to the ground, Han's in trouble. I don't believe that's the case at all. But Jacare's also never been submitted, but he's been knocked out 3 times. Blachowicz is a very skilled striker. We just seen him knock out fellow middleweight that's coming to light heavyweight, Luke Rockhold, in the first round, I think that was. So it's just it goes like to these guys that want to come up from 85 to 205. The dudes at 205 got way more power than the guys at 85. You know, I mean, who are we saying Souza and Rockhold were fighting before then that's got heavy hands? Maybe Bisping or fucking Romero or somebody like that. Doesn't hit nowhere near as hard as Han Blachowicz or fucking who else at 205 hits pretty hard. Dominic Reyes hits pretty hard. We just seen that with the Chris Weidman fight when Chris Weidman tried to fight him, was actually doing decent, you know, wasn't doing horrible, and then he got fucking knocked out cold almost. Because it's just a different type of power at 205. Blachowicz is 24-8, 7-5 in the UFC, 15 out of 24 his wins via finish. He's been knocked out twice. He's only been submitted once. He just knocked out Luke Rockhold, like we just talked about in July. His debut in the UFC was a TKO over big dominant wrestler Ilir Latifi. Latifi's different from Souza. Souza, I don't believe is just a straight predominant wrestler. I think he's more of a submission grappling kind of grappler. So if it's in that case, I don't think he's going to be able to. I think the analogies I'm going to give you right now with Latifi and Corey Anderson are not, you know, you can't really use those because it's not the same type of grappling. But I will give you this. In his debut, Han Blachowicz knocked out Ilir Latifi, a very dominant, big, stocky, strong wrestler. He also, later on in his career, lost a decision to Corey Anderson, who was a smaller, skilled, I believe more skilled wrestler than Ilir Latifi, but just beat him by out-wrestling him the entire time. Just out-wrestled him for, I think that was a three-round fight, so 3 rounds straight, just out-wrestled him and got a decision over him. Now, this will be a 5-round fight, so who knows if Jacare will be able, even if he goes for that approach, who knows if he'll be able to hold him down for 5 rounds. We've seen he could get held down for 3 rounds. But what happens when the other guy gets tired? Does that leave him openings to get back up, to work his striking in? I don't think it's going to last that long. I think 2nd or 3rd round, we're going to see a TKO by Han Blachowicz. And that's not saying anything to Jacare. I think Jacare is going to do very good at 205. I just think Blachowicz has got not a clear path, but he's going to get whoever doesn't fight Jones will probably fight Blachowicz next. So if Reyes is the next to fight Jones, we're going to see Corey Anderson versus Han Blachowicz too. If if Corey Anderson gets the next pop at Jones, I think we're going to see Dominic Reyes versus Han Blachowicz, which is a fucking scary fight. That's a scary fight. 2 big, powerful, skilled strikers, and somebody is going to sleep, man. You say that, people say that when they look at fights like that. They say, you know, on paper, this fight looks like somebody's going to sleep. And then sometimes in fights like that, like Derek Lewis, Francis Ngannou, they just feel each other out the whole time. It's kind of a boring fight, but somebody wins by points, and it's just a decision. So, I mean, it's tough. It's tough to say stuff like that. But or maybe not to that, maybe not the boring aspect of it. Let's go to a different aspect. Let's go to Vicente Luque and Mike Perry. You've seen Luque's track record and what he had done. You see Mike Perry's track record before that, what they had done. You said somebody's going to sleep in this fight. Somebody's getting put to sleep. And just now they're just that. Those two guys are that tough that they just beat the shit out of each other for 3 rounds straight. And it went to a decision. And Luque even broke Mike Perry's nose later in that fight. I think it was like maybe 30 seconds before the fight was over. He broke Mike Perry's nose with a knee. And Mike Perry just kept on going, man. It's just the toughness, man. The toughness. I think Blachowicz has got that. I think Dominic Reyes has got that. So that fight in itself, I think that fight happens no matter what. I think, even if, let's just say, Reyes gets the next crack at Jones, Blachowicz gets the next crack at Anderson, I think, regardless of what happens, somewhere in the line, those two will fight each other. Whether Han loses to Corey and Reyes loses to Jones, then they fight, or Reyes beats Jones, Blachowicz beats Corey, and then they're fighting for the title, or, Blachowicz beats Anderson, but Reyes loses to Jones, so now Blachowicz fights Jones, and then win or lose, his next fight would be Reyes again, because Reyes went out and got himself another win. Those two guys 100% will be fighting each other in the future. I don't know what year, I don't know how soon, I don't know anything like that, but I do know they will definitely be fighting each other sometime in the future. The UFC has to. That if one of those two dudes get the belt, the other guy is definitely got to be first in line, without a shadow of a doubt. The rest of the card, this is actually a really, really, really good card, I believe, on paper. On paper. Could turn out to be way worse. But on paper, this looks like a badass fucking card. You got Sergio Morales versus James Krause, Ricardo Ramos versus Luis Garagori, who's coming off of that he fought maybe in Uruguay or something like that. His debut, beat the shit out of the dude. That shit was awesome. Warley Alves versus Randy Brown. That's a great fight. Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Renan Barão. Barão's back things on a 4 or 5 fight losing streak. So there's that. Ariana Lipski versus Veronica Macindo. Vanessa Mello versus Tracy Cortez. Tracy Cortez coming from the Contender Series. So a lot of young talent, a lot of talent on that card to build the card around. I think it's going to be a very fun undercard, very fun main card, especially the main event. I'm excited for it. I mean, normally you get these Brazil cards, the Brazil, Moscow, fucking Uruguay, shit like that. Normally those cards aren't like bangers. Like they're not from start to finish bangers. But, this one on paper definitely has the potential to be great from start to finish. And that's what you want for those cards, because you want fucking, oh shit. Melo just got signed to Portland. That is dope. That is dope. Hey, man, shout out to Carmelo Anthony for getting back to the NFL. I mean, the fucking NBA, my bad. For getting back to the NBA. That is great, man. He needed to be. He was really getting outcasted there in the NBA. So it's great to see him get back in it. And other things, January 25th, the UFC will be coming to Raleigh, North Carolina. And guess who will be there? This fucking guy right here. Main event being Junior Dos Santos and Curtis Blades. Frankie Edgar, Corey Sandhagen going to be on the card. That's actually going to be a really, really sick card. And it's crazy because normally they don't do things like this. Like they don't like – with this fight, they announced like 20 fights in one night. Or like 5-10 fights in one night. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fights in one day they announced. From start to finish of the day, they announced 7 fights on the January 25th card, and it's November 15th, 14th. So, unheard of. I mean, normally they do cards like they just set a card for Brazil March 14th. They have a card on February 8th they're still looking for a venue for. But, so, I mean, they posted that, but they didn't post any fights for it. This shit's got fights on it. This shit's, like we said, Curtis Blades fights, Corey Sandhagen fight, Justine Kitch versus Lucie Pudilova, Bavon Lewis versus Alan Amadovetsky. Darko Stosic versus Jamal Hill. Hold on. Nope. Fucking dude sucks. Montel Jackson versus Felipe Corrales. And Herbert Burns versus Nate Landwehr. Both making their UFC debuts. Crazy card. They definitely got, what is it, 7 fights? They got maybe 4 to 6 more fights to add to that card. So you got to keep your eyes out for that, guys. That one's going to be big. Anybody that's going to be in Raleigh watching that card, make sure to let me know. Come say what's up to you. Show some love from the barbecue pit. I always like meeting Twitter peeps and fucking, anybody that watches the show that I meet on Twitter, Facebook, any shit like that. It's cool to meet those guys at the fight, say what's up, drink a beer, whatever the case is, smoke a blunt. What the fuck we're going to do, Which, speaking of that, because that's a bad thing. Before I went live, I seen that YouTube's got you filling out this thing now that's like, this is video for kids. And I was thinking to myself, and I'm like, this thing's not for kids. I mean, you can be a kid and watch this. I don't care. I curse a little bit, so I mean, I don't want you to be like a young kid. So I looked up what do they mean by can kids watch this? And there's 2 things. There's, do you want people under 18 to not be able to see this? Because if you're 16 years old, I don't care if you watch the video. You like MMA, you're 16, you want to get into it, you want to support me, that's fine. I don't care, I don't care how old you are as long as you're not fucking 4 or 5 years old. Trying to watch them cursing and shit. That's not good. So there's 2 things. Under 18, I said it's fine. Then they said, our kids, is this video for kids? And I read what it means. And what it means is this video educational and helpful for preschoolers? And as soon as I read it, it was like 10 things. I read that was the first thing. I clicked out, said nope. I don't want no preschoolers watching my shit, man. Just bad. I mean, it's not that like we're not doing anything bad or anything, but just don't want that, man. I don't want nobody to be influenced by the way I talk or anything like that, Just, it's the way it is. Like I said, though, I don't want to make it only 18 because there's 17-year-old kids, 16-year-old kids in high school like MMA. They do that on the wrestling team or whatever the case is, and they just want to hear somebody's opinions about picks or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to hinder you guys from seeing it. That's not right, but definitely wanted to keep the kiddies off. It's still 7-0, 7-2-0. We're reaching the levels of any Raiders. Excuse me. 7-0 Browns. Looks like they're going to be fronting again. My guy Vance McDonald's not doing anything. It's going to really piss me off because I need that. Let's see if he's done literally anything. 0 points. Nice. End of the first. Got 0 points. That is sick. Sick, bro. I love it. Love it, dude. Why the fuck you doing that to me, dude? Game log. They've threw to him once today. Who are they playing? Cleveland. I swear I've seen him catch a ball already. He's got 0 receptions. Could have swore I've seen it already. What number is he? 89, yeah. Could have swore I've seen him catch something already. Oh, well. It is what it is, man. I should get an easy win here. This guy that I'm playing has got a tight end in his flex that's questionable. His tight end is also questionable. He has a wide receiver that has no game this week and a running back that has no game this week. If I lose this week, even though I got a bunch of substitutes guys in, because Russell Wilson doesn't have a game this week, Derrick Henry doesn't have a game this week, Darius Slayton doesn't have a game this week. So I got people like Jalen Richard, Naheem Hines, Kyle Allen starting in my starting lineup. But if I lose this week, I'm trash at fantasy, dude. Because This dude that playing's got literally 2 people not playing, doesn't have a game this week, and 2 people that are questionable to even play because they're injured. And he definitely has a running back and a wide receiver on his bench that he could easily sub, and this guy just doesn't pay attention. So I'm playing a guy that does not pay attention to the fantasy league. If I lose, that's fucking pretty damn sad. I'm not gonna lie. Second quarter is back. Let's see what they did. They punt. They did. Fucking Steelers got the ball back. I need this. I need something to go on. We go to the UFC event in Raleigh. I'm gonna get a poster. We'll put that motherfucker on that side somewhere. Over there on the bottom here or some shit. That shit will be up. We'll post it. We got Greenville, and then sometimes they sell the small. I want a small poster. I want the big ass shit like we got this time. I want a little ass. Look at that big ass picture. You could have put this same picture on like that size poster, and it would have been fine. What is this poster for? You know what I mean? Like, it's MMA, man. This is not like a fucking boy band group that girls want to post a giant ass picture above their bed so they can look at it before they go to sleep. This is fucking MMA, man. We got fighters and shit. Fuck's it gotta be that big for? Don't get it. Maybe like, they gotta have all that room for all the fighters to sign, the ones that are signed, but you can have those ones for the ones that are signed, and then for the ones that are not signed, just get a bunch of small ones. You know what I mean? Fuck the big ones. Get a bunch of small ones. And then when they run out of the big ones, they run out of the big ones. Fuck it. Have extra. I'll never get it, man. I will never get it. Oh, shit. Lets it go. Drops it. Can't make a catch on 3rd and 12. And Pittsburgh lets go of the ball again. I'm so glad that at least in the pick'ems I picked Cleveland, because Pittsburgh's over here looking fucking horrible, man. Horrible. My predictions, I'll put my predictions in here. So I got Shogun, Gordon, and Isaiah Perez. Liverpool, New York, what the fuck? It's weird. I've never heard of Liverpool being in New York. It's a place in London, as far as I remember. Let's see. Open up with a run. I don't got nobody on Cleveland, so I don't even give a fuck about Cleveland. All right, guys, I'm gonna cut it. I'll go watch the game by my damn self, but I'm gonna cut it, man. We'll be back next Thursday. I'm gonna have mad people over on Saturday, and one of the guys I'm gonna have over. You guys remember Juice? Juice that be coming over here with the food and shit. He's coming. He always likes to do the show, so he might ask me to turn. If anybody says a word to me about turning it on, I'll turn it fuck on real quick. So I mean, there's that. But if he doesn't say nothing, I'm not going to turn it on. We're just hanging out. Everybody's just going to be hanging out, chilling and shit. It was my birthday on Tuesday, so everybody's coming over for the birthday. But, yeah, so if nothing this Saturday, there's actually not going to be a card. Oh, fuck. I forget about this. There's not going to be a card till December 7th. So we're going to go like this. We're going to look at Bellator. Events, January 25th. November 23rd. Is that next weekend? Let's see. November 23rd is next Saturday. Yes, that is correct. So November 23rd. So next week we won't we won't have a preview show for the UFC. We will have one for Bellator London, which is the second one in London. Michael Venom Page will be fighting to be announced because Derek Anderson, I think his name was, backed out of that fight. He's supposed to fight there. Fabian Edwards, brother of Leon Edwards, will be fighting Michael Shipman. Charlie Ward's on the card. Who else? Who else? A notable name on here. Sam Cecilia versus Robert Whiteford. That's a good fight. Shane Campbell's on there. Catchweight 150. There's so many catchweights on Bellator. So many. I mean, 3-fight main card's a little weird. I'll still do it, I guess. I want to see. I want to see him fight. Talking about Michael Venom Page. I want to see him fight. This dude's name just got released from the UFC. Curtis Melander. I want to see him fight Curtis Melander in Curtis Melander's debut in Bellator. And Melander actually called for it on Twitter, Instagram, one or the other. He called Coker and said he wants to have that fight. So I'd like to see that fight as well. But until next Thursday, possibly this Saturday, I will see you guys next time. Make sure you come. Hit the subscribe button if you're here, even a new guy. If you're a new guy or girl, hit the subscribe button, please. Show some love. I haven't talked about it much. Kind of forgot about it. I thought about not doing it. But I think I'm going to do it again. So the contest I was going to do in the beginning of the year, I announced in January. I'm going to make my picks all year long for the UFC. If I get under 500, I was going to give away like 3 shirts or like 2 shirts and a sweatshirt with the Barbecue Pit logo. If I went 500 on the dot, I was going to give away like 3 shirts. And then if I'm over 300 or I'm over 500, I'm probably just going to do a 1 shirt giveaway, which I'm crazy over 500. I mean, I would have to like not get. Let me just see really quick before I eat my shit. 59 and 203, so that's 56, 15 fights. There's like 3 cards left. Yeah. I would have to get like every fight wrong. I would have to get every fight wrong on like the next 3 cards or however many cards are left on the UFC. And even then, I think it would be pretty close to being 500. So I think I'm pretty golden for being above 500. Of course, I want to do the best I can. 4-9 last week was not what I wanted to see. But on a positive note, we will be giving away a T-shirt. The drawing will start in January. We'll get back to you guys the Thursday after we get back from our family vacation in Virginia. So we'll be getting back to you guys after that. The Thursday after that happens, I will be doing a show here. And after I do the show here, that Friday morning, if we're still doing it on Thursdays, we might change the day up again. If we're still doing it on Thursdays, that Friday morning, I'll be posting it on Twitter, Instagram, wherever, saying that, everybody who follows me, you have to retweet this. And anybody who follows me is eligible. Retweet this and you're in the thing. I'm going to go through the retweets. I'm going to pick 3 random people from the retweets. I'm going to write each of their names on a piece of paper. I'm going to let my daughter pick out their winner. So it'll be completely at random. I won't just sit there and pick the 3 friends I have on there. I'm literally just probably going to scroll and just stop it. And the person who's on my finger, I'll write that person's name down. Yeah, I don't like doing those. Like you put it in there. You put it in some kind of like thing, and then that thing pops up a name. I don't really trust that shit either. So I won't do that. But I'm going to do it my way, and we'll be giving away a shirt or something. So just make sure you keep your eyes out on that. Follow me on Twitter. You'll have to get updates there. And just be on the show, man. Early January, be on the show, and you'll get the instructions. But as far as now, everybody, good luck on Saturday. Make sure you get your picks in. See you later. I'm out.